This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Back in 1985, the guy we're about to bring in, Joe Kleine, went number 6 overall in the NBA draft. Joe, we really appreciate you making some time for us this morning. I know that this is an exciting experience for Anthony, Nick, Ricky, and Jordan. What do you remember about draft day all those years ago?
Well, back then we were, playing with the baskets above the barn, and so, and that's a great question. It was it's so different back then. I don't really remember. Now kids are thinking about the NBA at 15, 14, 12. I don't really remember really thinking about the NBA till I was at the Olympic trials, and I was going into my between my junior and senior year, and so kind of saying, hey, I can play with these guys. A lot of these guys are getting drafted. I'm probably going to get drafted, and so but I just remember going to New York. The day before, getting drafted, and then taking an all-nighter out to Sacramento. I thought I was going to, Cali, L.A. and the beach and everything. And as one person on the team told me, they said, Sacramento's nice, but it's not California. It's a little different. So, I just remember kind of it being a whirlwind for me. It was really happening fast and going quick, and next thing you knew, you were drafted and at the city, and things were happening. So, but it was extremely exciting.
Joe, you've called Little Rock home for a number of years now, and how close attention have you paid to the development and the career of Nick Smith as it's unfolded from a prep player in high school to Arkansas to now on the doorstep of the NBA? How much have you followed him from kind of from Genesis, if you will?
I was very aware of Nick. Because I was doing some volunteer work and with Catholic High, and I helped some AAU stuff here recently after I wasn't at UALR anymore, and I did that prior to UALR. So, kind of my in between years of coaching in college, I was involved in high school, and then after that happened, I was involved with it a little bit till the 2019-2020 season. But I saw him play several times. Was very impressed with how smooth he was with the ball, with the shooting. All facets of his game offensively were really good. His passing, his vision, his ball handling skills were very good for high school, and then he had a really nice stroke, a good pull-up game. So I thought he could score at all three levels, and he just needed to mature. Was very excited that he went to Arkansas. I know things didn't work out like he wanted to, and like all of us wanted to. But again, I still think he's a tremendous talent with really good upside.
Hey, Joe, this is Chuck. I want to talk about Anthony Black for just a second. He's a guy that just seems to, every time people talk about NBA prospects, his stock goes up. What have you seen, and what do you suspect maybe has happened since our season ended that's made him just kind of go up the way he has?
Well, Chuck, it's good to hear you, man.
Yeah, good to talk to you, Joe.
It's always good to hear your voice. So can't wait till I'm hearing it on Saturday afternoon. Now I'm ready for football.
Won't be long.
But, Chuck, I think they get in these individual workouts. They start measuring them. I think when you look at Anthony, I know when I look at Anthony, I see a baby-faced kid. I see a kid whose body hasn't developed. You just see a young man, and I think that what they see after they measure him, they see him work out, they see his size, they see his handles, they're looking at him and going, okay, when a little bit of this baby fat turns to muscle, and we get him, when he shoots the ball, I think he has a nice looking stroke. I just think it needs confidence and just a lot of reps. And I think, again, what the NBA people think is like, they're always thinking we can make it better, we can fix it, or once we have him for 2 or 3 years, this is what he's going to be. And so I think they see the way he can handle the ball. He's a big guard, and that he has great vision. He's a willing passer, probably a pass-first guy. I think they like that. I think he's shown that he can be a very good defender, that he can defend probably easily 3 positions with all the switching that goes on in the NBA. You got a guy that can, switch to a 3, to a 2, to play a 1. If you go small, he could probably switch to 4 positions. So I think they see versatility. I think they see, he's going to mature into something better than he is now. And they love his size and love his vision. And, he's a big 6'7", 6'8" point guard, and you don't see a lot of those.
Let me ask you about Jordan Walsh, because he was a guy that, put himself into the draft and then kept his options open with college, and clearly probably has gained as much out of the combine process as anyone. What do you see in Jordan's game, and what do you expect for his future, and will he be drafted tonight?
I will be shocked if he's not drafted. I mean, I will be absolutely shocked. I wanted them all to stay, guys, but I really wanted this kid to stay. I mean, I think he's coming, man. I really liked how he was coming on. I loved his tenacity defensively, his willingness to guard, to rebound. And again, I think like Anthony, he's a good shooter that just, it's tough, man. You're thrown into a college, and the game's harder and things are hard. Practices are harder, and guys guarding you are better, and there's an adjustment. And I think from a shooting standpoint, he had some bad games, and really took him a while to get over those. But he has a good stroke, and I think they call it a 3-and-D kind of player in the pros, a guy that can guard everybody. He's a rebounder, a runner, an athlete, but he can knock down that 3. And so I think those guys are very coveted in the NBA. And I mean, again, I think he's going to mature athletically into a tremendous NBA athlete, but I think his basketball skills are really raw right now. They got better during the year, and I think he's really going to. Yeah, I think he's really going to take off. I don't know, it'll be 2 or 3 years. I just, with all these guys, I hope they get drafted by good organizations, stable organizations, where they're going to have the same coach for a little while and same GM and be able to, grow with a team and not, get in there and have 3 or 4 coaches in 4 or 5 years like I did, because that makes it very hard.
Counsell would be one of those guys I would think about if he could get in the right system. Counsell might have a shot. I've read a few of the draft capsules on him, and they like his all-around game. And it's ironic because he has been a scorer. I think the consensus is he's got to be a little bit better from the perimeter in terms of shooting. But he's a guy, it sure seems like if he gets the right fit, might have a chance to stick.
Yeah, a couple of guys that, talk to me about him, first word comes to mind is, man, he is an athlete. And I think we all know that. We saw that all the time. But, they just are like, this guy is an athlete. And they think, I think he might do a little time in the G League. He's got to get to where he can shoot the ball. That's the name of the game now, as you guys know, in the NBA. They covet everything around that 3-point shot. So you don't have to be Steph Curry, but you've got to be able to be a threat and knock down and shoot a decent percentage from the three to really gain their attention. And so I think that's the thing that's holding him back. But I think his athleticism stands out. I think he's another, guy that could, if he embraces defense and, he's a great, like Walsh is, he could be another guy that, could really be a tremendous athlete on the perimeter that could really, if he can shoot and get to where he's reliable shooting the ball, teams will, he'll do well.
Joe, I wonder about how these guys, and I always wonder this, how they're going to handle the life. And I'll ask you about that because you've lived it. I mean, you go from being a college student to all of a sudden, man, you got a lot of money and you got a lot of time on your hands and you got a lot of people telling you everything that you could ever want to hear. Tell us about that and the importance of that and how sometimes that makes the difference on whether a guy builds a career or is just around for a year or two.
You better have good people around you, Chuck, and there better be people that are honest with you and that are telling you the truth. Because at 19 years old, I was 22 when I went, and I wasn't ready. It's just you can't be ready. I mean, somebody hands you that kind of money, and even back when I played, it was more money than I ever dreamed about or seen. And now, like you said, you're playing basketball as a job, and there's no class, there's no this or that. You're on your own for your weight training, for your nutrition, for what time you go to bed, what time you get up, and so on and so forth. And I know at 22 I wasn't ready for it. I dang sure wasn't ready for it at 18 and 19. And so that's the thing. You've got to have people around you. And I think we've seen with Morant and some other people, if you're not surrounded by good people, a solid foundation around you all the time, you can get into a lot of trouble. Your career can slip really quick. All of a sudden you're traded, and then you go to another team and that doesn't work out. Now you've been to two teams and it hasn't worked out, and now you start getting labeled or getting put in a category of what you are or what they think you are. And so that's why I think it's very important, especially out of the block, that you go to a stable organization, that you have, people around you that are watching you for your best interest, and you're working. You got to. The thing that when I tell these young men is the rate. When getting to the NBA, a lot of times these guys think the race is over. I've made it. You're at the starting block now. The race is just starting. I mean, it's not over. Now the real work begins, and the real sacrifice, the real maturity comes into play. And, some people that go to good organizations and have good people around them really understand that, and they take off and their career reaches their potential, and others don't.
Big Joe from Slater Smo, Joe Kleine, kind enough to join us this morning. Former Razorback, gave his perspective on getting drafted back in the day and some advice for Anthony and the rest of the guys as well. Joe, we really appreciate you making some time for us this morning, and excited to hopefully see all four guys called off the board tomorrow night.
I hope so. That would be awesome for Arkansas. I would love to see that. It could happen.
Absolutely. Joe, appreciate it, man.
Thanks,
Thank
Joe.
you, guys. You bet, guys. Have a great day.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your championship finals info, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds and the latest matchup reports for this year's NBA and Stanley Cup Finals. BetOnline is your sports intel headquarters this season, as we have you covered for all your insider sports wagering needs, from baseball and hockey to MLB, UFC, and boxing. The fastest and easiest way to get all your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your home. Get in the action today. Head over to our website or use your mobile device to join, and be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive 50% bonus on your first deposit. That's BLEAV. Bet online, where the game starts.